Hello and welcome. We're excited to show you the new and improved Viewer 8. In most cases, when listening to recordings, Viewer will automatically open. When you select the audio hearing record from the multimedia file selected in eView, the recording automatically opens in Viewer 8. Let's go ahead and open Viewer. Simply double-click the Viewer icon and the Viewer 8 player panel will open. If you've used previous versions of Viewer before, you will notice that we have a new and improved user interface. Before we do anything else, let me show you how you can customize things in Viewer. Firstly, in order to utilize Viewer 8, you need to open your desired file. Go up to the top left corner. The top left-hand corner has an icon with 3 lines. That is your main menu button. The main menu button will allow you to change preferences, utilize play control, audio control, and this is where you will go to open a file. Moving on, we have play, and then we have skip forward and skip backwards, where you can navigate through the recorded file to the place that you need. You can also find play under the main menu right here. And you see skip backwards and skip forward as well. This is handy if you don't have a mouse or if you need to use your keyboard to find things. Open your correct file and it should load instantly. Let's talk about how to change your preferences. Click the main menu button in the player panel again. Go down to Edit and then Preferences. In the Preferences window, there are 3 tabs on the left-hand side: General, Foot Pedal, and Hotkeys. First, in the General tab, you can change your theme. You may need something brighter. Maybe certain colors are hard to see and you want to change to a different color. There are 5 colors from which to choose in Viewer. By clicking on the drop-down, you can choose the color theme. The next drop-down is the speaker outputs. By default, your speaker output will be set to mono. However, by clicking the drop-down, you can change to stereo output. This means that they can split the audio into 2 separate channels. Additionally, you can play only those left or right channels, giving you more control. The next drop-down is your skip rate. The skip rate is how far forward or backwards you would jump when navigating through the recording. You can skip at a rate of 1, 5, 10, 30, and 60 seconds. We can go ahead and select App on Top. If you're working with a lot of files and opening and closing things, sometimes you can lose a program in the midst of that. By checking this, it will keep the Viewer app on top of all of those other programs that you have open. The next box is Maximize on Open. This maximizes the screen size. Then the box after that would be Reopen Last Video File Played. This helps you keep your place in a progression of work. You can also select Remember Last Points Played. It will take you right back to the point where you left off. These may seem small, but can be very helpful tools. So below General, we have log event filters. We will touch more on log events in our next video, but for now, when these are selected, they will show in your log. If you'd like to uncheck them, it essentially gives you control over what shows in your log. The next tab on the left-hand side would be the foot pedal controls, and this refers to being able to set your skip rates and the actions that those foot pedals can take. Foot pedal controls help the user move forward and backwards in a recording in a hands-free manner to more quickly and efficiently transcribe a session. Under skip rates, we have a step back rate, a skip back rate, and a skip forward. Each rate is automatically set to move 5 seconds, but by clicking on the drop-downs, you can shorten that length of time if you prefer to move in a more precise manner with smaller increments. So the step back rate is after you have pressed on the pedal, it will move back 5 seconds so that when you start again, you have a moment to recognize where you are in the context. So the rates are able to be set just how you like them to help you do your best. So essentially the skip back rate is like a rewind and a skip forward rate is like a fast forward. This is one of many ways that you can maneuver through the recording. Then for the actions part of the foot pedal, they normally come set with the left for rewind and the right for fast forward, the middle for play. You can assign the functionality to each pedal the way you like. When using the pedal, I want you just to make a note that the middle pedal has been set for play. When it's pressed down, it will play. When the pressure is released, it will stop. Finally, on the left side, we have hotkeys. If you are accustomed to something different, you can adjust things here. This is how they come set by default. Let's take a look over the hotkeys and you can see all of the keystrokes and decide if you need to change things. We have hotkeys for channels, then we have hotkeys for playback.
The hotkeys are easily edited by clicking in the text box, and you can highlight and then type what your keys need to be.
So now we are back to our player panel, named for its main function, which is to play your files. We've got our file loaded, and let's go through the functionality of this player panel. Here you will see that Viewer indicates the number of mics that were used during this session. Here we have a session name, the first name and last name related to our file. Here we have the scrub bar. If you are not able to get to the scrub bar to move through the recording file, don't worry about that. There are many other ways to move through the recording file. But what makes the scrub bar unique is that there's no buffer needed. If you pull it through the media, it starts right wherever you leave it and it's ready to go. No need to load. You can drag through to find something specific. And also below the scrub bar, we have media start and media end. It's not starting with 0, it's beginning with the time of day the session was started. The time of day that we made the recording is displayed here. This works with the timestamps that happen in the log. When you click on a timestamp, it will move to that point in the recording. Events entered in the log will be between the start and stop media times. It's important to remember it is not starting from 0, but the time of day that the recording took place. If we continue to explore the player panel, let's look beneath the media start and end times, and here we have the time controls. As you can see, everything I toggle over, it will give you a name for that tool, just in case you may forget the functionality of a particular button or tool. So, the time controls show you the date that it was recorded, and then it displays the exact moment that it is at in the recording. If you need to change this manually, or to be more precise, you can adjust the minutes here, as well as the seconds, or if you had a longer recording, you could adjust the hours. So every increment of time is able to be selected and changed. This is done by first selecting the increment of time that you wish to change. So if I want to move forward 2 minutes, I need to select the minutes section. And then I would select the arrow. If I want to move forward, I would select the up arrow. And if I want to move backwards in the recording, I would select the down arrow. This is a very precise way to navigate to a specific time. It can be very helpful when you're looking for the right second. If you have a long file and you need to move 20 minutes forward, I suggest you use the scrub bar, or at the bottom of the player panel you will see arrows going forward and backwards. You can utilize those as well. Now we can move on to the playback rate. The playback rate is great if you have a fast speaker and you need to slow them down, you can do that here. If you have a slow speaker and you need to speed things up, you have many choices as well. They're in small increments to help you choose what's best. Viewer8 also has an automatic pitch control so that everyone's voice will stay at the same level. Even after changing this, it saves all of our ears from a little bit of pain. So we are at the playback speed, and if you change the speed to 1.4 for an example, and need to return back to normal, you just click in the middle of that wheel and there is 1.0, and that means it's times the normal speed. So it will bring you back to the original recorded speed. This brings us next to the global volume control. What does that mean exactly? Well, global volume control means all the channels together are affected. So this dial may look a little familiar. It functions the same way. The numbers displayed are percentages of the total volume, which is currently at 100%. But if we want to turn it down, it's a little loud for some reason, and I'm going to turn it down to 60. So when I open it, you can see I've selected 60, or maybe you need to mute everything. To mute all the channels, all you need to do is open this button, and in the middle, you will see this speaker with the X. This is an all or nothing button, turning all your channels to mute. How about we don't need to mute everything, but we do need to mute channel 1. It has the exact same dial that we just saw. You can turn it down or you could mute, whichever you feel is best. If you need to turn the mute off, just open that dial back up and you'll click in the middle for unmute. It's that simple. To the right of that, we have audio devices. These 3 little dots show you the output device. So if you have a set of speakers, or if you have some headphones that you need to be listening to in the playback, these 3 buttons show you your output devices. So if you have a set of speakers, or maybe you need to use headphones, you can set the device here to listen to your playback. You have many choices. Whatever device you have connected will be shown here. So underneath that, we have channels. Each microphone has a channel. This is not a set number, but it's varied by the microphones that are plugged in. There can be as little as 2 and up to 12. And this concludes the overview of the player panel. And let's move on to the log panel.